Mike's Daily Podcast.
I was born in the late 60s, and then in the 80s, that's when I really got into music. You know, the 70s I remember because, well, every once in a while you'd hear a cool song. You'd be like, oh, what's this? What's this song? What's this? And you'd be like, oh, that's... Because I had some friends, but I really got exposed to crap music in the 70s.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I get so upset when I talk about this. My mom really only listened to
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Crappy instrumental music. There was a lot of instrumental music that was big in the 70s. You know, no words, just singing. Henry Mancini was one of these. And then there was this guy called Kenny Rogers. And my mom, she couldn't get enough of that guy. And most people today, you say Kenny Rogers, they go, fried chicken? And so...
Mike's Daily Podcast.
So much for that. I wasn't raised on Led Zeppelin. I wasn't raised on Pink Floyd.
Mike's
or the Beatles.
Daily.
My mom had no Beatles records.
Podcast.
She had Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah!
So the exposure to music... Oh, my dad was... he had Irish folk songs. It's the Dubliners and the Dublin 5 with the Dublins. It was... I got no good music exposure as a kid. Then in the 80s, I remember my cousin was visiting from Germany. And she said, you know, guys that like music are much more fun than other guys. And I thought, I need all the help I can get because I'm attracted to my cousin. No, it wasn't that. She called my mom the other day for my mom's birthday, and she was just tickled. She got a call from her brother. Both these people are in Germany, her brother and my cousin. And so they called her and wished her a happy birthday, and it was awesome. So here, it's good to call people on their birthday. Don't do the stupid Facebook like or the Facebook happy birthday. That's so weak ass. Call them up. God. What? Oh, I'm going to do whatever I want. I got you this delicious bass. I know I have that somewhere. That's right. I'm never going to find it. So, yeah, that's what happened with this.
And here's today's podcast picture.
This is the podcast called Mike trying to find the sound effect that he knows is somewhere on here. And none of these are out.
The new national anthem will be Baby Shark Doo 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 Doo, Grandma Shark Doo 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 Doo, Evil Shark Doo Doo Doo.
Here it is.
I caught you a delicious bass.
There, finally. Ugh. That took way too long. Hey, so... the podcast picture today, I'll tell you in a moment. You know, how do you keep a turkey in suspense? That joke I fell for many times. Yeah, so the music I got exposed to was not that good. But you know, later on in the 80s, after I heard the cousin that I was attracted to tell me, you know, guys need to listen to good music and that makes them more interesting, I thought, hey, well, I like music. I walk around all day with a stupid song stuck in my head. Maybe I should put in a song I actually like. So I would listen to the Top 40 station. And this is in the mid-'80s, and back then it was... So yeah, I was really behind the ball. I was like already 15 when I'm starting to listen to 16, listen to music. It's sad. I was listening to... that's how I got into country music, was I was listening to some country in the late 70s, early 80s. So then we get into the 70s, I don't know what decade I'm in. But from the mid-80s on is when I was into music. So that's when I started to really... And then all music. Even when it comes out now, I'm interested in it. Who's this band? Why did they sound like this? Why did they pick those songs? I find it fascinating. Except that, and then the crappy power pop, which will always exist. The pap smear pop. No, not that kind of pop. The pop that's just awful pop. Your generic pop that so many young people just go nuts for. But it serves a purpose. I guess there's that part of the brain that just wants to turn off. That's that type of thing. All right. Jimmy Carter was at the George H.W. Bush funeral yesterday. And that blows my mind because this guy was president back in the late 70s. And he has outlived now Nixon, Ford, Reagan, and now Bush, the senior. And it's amazing, that guy. So once he was a one-term president, and I don't know if you have a relative in your family that hated Jimmy Carter. Everybody had a relative that hated Jimmy Carter passionately. Like, oh, he made the gas prices go up. He had the botched Iran hostages happen during his time. He tried to rescue the Iran hostages, and it was a botched attempt. People got killed. He just never did anything. He was just a peanut farmer, blah, blah, blah. But since then, since his presidency, which some would argue that it was because of the fact that he had, I think he didn't have the House and the Senate. That was Republican held. I think that's what, I don't know. I'm not good with my political history, I will admit. At any rate, he has done so much for humanitarian causes. And his house building project for poor people, Habitat for Humanity, I think that's Jimmy Carter, and other things. So he's done a lot in his life, and he carries on. And he's a funny guy. I've seen him on The Daily Show back when Jon Stewart hosted it, and he was very clever. Tony Evers is now going to become the governor of Wisconsin. He beat Scott Walker. Tony is a Democrat. And all the talk is Scott Walker is doing all this stuff to try to make his powers less than what Scott Walker has right now. He's trying to say, hey, I don't want this new guy, this liberal, to have as many powers. And apparently this is also happening in Minnesota. Or no, Michigan. It's Michigan and in North Carolina. But I heard some of the specifics of what it was, like no more early voting, or the earliest voting you can do is 2 weeks ahead, which I don't really see the repercussions of that. To me, it's like if you, I don't know, to me it didn't seem like, oh, that's a horrible, horrible thing. But, oh, okay. So I'm looking back a year ago for the podcast picture today. And, oh, there's so many. I did go quite often to Fairmont Ridge a year ago. And now Basil the Boxer does not quite get around like he used to. And Fairmont Ridge has not been on my to-do list lately. Because he just can't walk there. But I'm looking at the Fairmont Ridge view is unparalleled. The sunsets are amazing, and I think I will post a picture from that. Okay, that, or we will go to, I have no idea where this is. Where was this taken? I've got no information on it. Okay, maybe this isn't a picture that I took then. I will not post it then. So yeah, we'll go with Fairmont Ridge. It's been a while since I've been there. I need to go back again sometime. So what is happening? Are the Republicans saying, as we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. And this, by the way, is episode 1759. Sorry, it's all over the place today. I have had a tickle in the back of my throat. That's weird. It's, I think it was caused by some kind of acid reflux situation, which I know a lot of people suffer from that. But it sucks. And it only appears once in a while. I'll be talking, and all of a sudden I get this tickle. Now, I don't know if this is a 50-year-old thing, if this will continue on for the rest of my life. Who knows? But back to the George W. Bush, H.W. Bush funeral. George W. Bush got up, gave a eulogy. This was yesterday in D.C. And it was very moving, very touching, very sad. He mentioned at one point, that he called up his dad. And the guy said, and that's who George W. Bush refers to the guy. The guy on the phone said, your dad isn't talking much today, but maybe he can hear you. I don't think he can hear you, but let's see. And George W. Bush said, Dad, you've been a wonderful father, and I love you. And apparently, the last words that George H.W. Bush ever said on the planet Earth were, I love you too. Isn't that nice? What a nice way to remember him. Now I know you have your things against George H.W. Bush, but it's nice to remember him in any way. And, we'll see how history looks back on him. Iran-Contra, all the invasion of Iraq, saving Kuwait, all that stuff, the 1,000 points of light, and all the other things that have to do with his life. But I got to stop here with the show. I'm sorry, this show was not the best. Maybe tomorrow will be a better one. Oh, I wanted to mention something else. So I have to go to meetings now. Not those kind of meetings where you're saying, I've been sober for several days. I have been sober for several days, though. I don't drink that much anymore. Except there was a bit of a party on Saturday where wine was being poured. But it's about meetings. I have to do the meetings now. And I had a flashback to back when I worked in Alabama and the horrible manager meetings I used to have there. And there would be this one guy, his name was Zach, and I was the program director for a country station. And he used to nitpick. We'd go around the table, all the managers. Got anything? Nope. Got anything? Nope. Got anything? Nope. Get to Zach. And Zach would be squeaky wheel. And he would, not that you need to know what a squeaky wheel sounds like, sorry. But he would do this. Yeah, so Mike's station.
Sorry.
Mike's station, The Wolf. They play Martina McBride Independence Day way too much. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you're listening to my station way too much. You have your own station. He had a sports station, which, by the way, was horrible. But he had to run that. And every week I had to defend myself because of that guy. So it just, in radio, that's what it's like. You have people that will criticize things that they hear on your station. And sometimes you're like, you have way too much time. And you've listened to this show today, and you have used your time well. Thank you so much. Hey, we didn't say hi to these people, and let's do it now.
Hello, my friends. This is Chely Shoehart, the chef supervisor. I've enjoyed today's show and all that talk about the music from the 80s. Because girls just want to have fun.
That's right, Chely, they do. That was a very positive way to end the show. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Perhaps you should see a doctor about the tickle in the back of your throat. Oh, thank you. The tickle in the back of my throat. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Mike, I'm offended!
But if you get offended, that's the way the cookie crumbles. No.
Well, it's been a great show. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Thanks for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!